Be sure to like and subscribe to Starbound here on YouTube. Supporting us may seem small, but it means everything to the journey we're on. Every like, every subscription is a step forward for us to share these stories with more people. I've never been able to find any joy in these ceremonies. To me, they are pointless spectacles filled with empty speeches and contrived rituals. The Galactic Council treats these events as grand occasions, celebrating the induction of yet another species into their ranks. Yet as I sit here once again, enduring the droning formalities, I can't help but wonder, what is so special about this moment? What is so unique about this new race? The galaxy teems with intelligent life, with thousands of species scattered across its countless stars. These species arise from worlds so peaceful, so nurturing, that their evolution into sentient beings feels as inevitable as the sunrise. To me, there is nothing extraordinary about it. Yet the Council insists on turning these predictable milestones into elaborate spectacles. The routine never changes. A representative of some fragile, pale, and weak-willed species stands before the Council, their voice brimming with pride. They recount their history, filled with tales of peaceful progression. Their world, they claim, is one of harmony. They speak of how they cultivated crops to sustain their growth, how their societies unified without conflict, and how they achieved spacefaring technology without ever enduring the trials of true struggle. Their so-called wars are nothing more than minor skirmishes, brief clashes claiming a few hundred lives at most. They lack even the concept of true natural disasters, their worlds so serene that the idea of hurricanes or earthquakes feels foreign to them. When my people first ventured into the stars, we were shocked by what we found, not by danger or hostility, but by the sheer softness of the galaxy. We had expected that intelligent life could only arise from harsh, unforgiving worlds like our own. Yet we discovered the opposite. These paradise worlds, as we came to call them, were cradles of life. Their mild climates and abundant resources allowed for the development of sentience without struggle. My people, the Var, hail from what the galaxy calls a death world, a place of relentless challenges and brutal survival. For a time, we took pride in this distinction. It made us strong, resilient, and unyielding. We leveraged the fear others felt towards us, our durability and strength, to secure a position of power in the Republic. But that power came at a cost. Now the galaxy sees us as little more than brutes, mindless masses of muscle who solve problems with fists rather than thought. They fail to recognize the richness of our culture. They overlook our art, our music, our scientific achievements. To them, we are defined solely by our physicality, as if intelligence and creativity could not coexist with strength. How could they understand? They have never known struggle. They do not know what it means to endure freezing tundras or scorching deserts. Their worlds provide everything they need, and their challenges are limited to technological puzzles. They build temperature-controlled shelters to colonize harsh environments, never imagining what it means to survive them without aid. And so, I find myself here once again. I am Var Axion, fourth son of Emperor Var, and I have been sent as a delegate to this induction ceremony. My father insists that we must maintain appearances, that our absence would raise suspicions. The other species might believe the rumors that we are preparing for war. Such suspicions are absurd, of course. The Var are always prepared for war. To us, readiness is a necessity, not an exception. So it is the cornerstone of our survival. As the ceremony begins, I push my irritation aside. My father has a habit of assigning me the task of summarizing these proceedings for him. He refuses to subject himself to the monotony of watching the recordings, leaving me to endure the event and report back. This forces me to pay attention, no matter how predictable the ritual may be. Delegate Var, I think you'll find this one particularly interesting, says Delegate Jakesai, seated beside me. She represents the Jakesai Combine, the species responsible for making first contact with this new race. I tolerate her presence because her people, like mine, understand struggle. They evolved alongside another sentient species on their homeworld and endured a period of conflict before uniting in cooperation. Their history, while brief, includes what my people would recognize as a true war. I glance at her, my skepticism evident. What is it this time? Another pacifist race? Or have they finally managed to lose more than 1,000 lives in one of their so-called wars? She chuckles, the sound a sharp, avian trill that grates on my nerves. Just pay attention, I promise you'll find them intriguing. I sigh, resigned. Fine, I'll humor you. No, not that I have much choice. Delegate JXI rises, her voice amplified by the projection system. Delegates of the Republic Council, I welcome you all to this momentous occasion. Today we celebrate the induction of a new species into our ranks. They hail from the frontier regions, far from the core of the Republic. Despite their distance, they are a cultured people, and it is my honor to introduce their representative, Delegate Smith of Humanity United. The human delegate steps forward, their appearance drawing my immediate scrutiny. Pale-skinned and thin, as expected, but not frail. Their musculature is noticeable, suggesting genuine strength rather than the bloated forms typical of species from low-gravity worlds. Their features are sharp but not predatory. With short fur on their head and face, their teeth are square, save for a few pointed ones, marking them as omnivores. They begin speaking, their voice resonant and measured. Thank you, Delegate JXII. Ladies, gentlemen, and esteemed members of the Republic Council, I am Delegate Smith, representing humanity. We are honored to join this assembly. Their mannerisms are confident, yet there is a humility to their tone. They introduce themselves as humans, explaining the structure of their names and the linguistic diversity of their species. Hundreds of languages, they claim, each with unique grammatical rules and cultural significance. This detail piques my curiosity, as it mirrors the VAR's own tradition of clan-specific languages. They proceed to introduce their homeworld, Earth. The holographic display comes to life, showcasing their solar system. 8 planets, numerous moons, and countless smaller bodies orbit a main sequence star. Their homeworld is the 3rd planet, a mineral-rich sphere with gravity nearly identical to that of VAR. This revelation surprises me. The gravity explains their musculature. It is not an illusion, but a necessity for survival. The Wrigley frame answers to the shape of their homeworld, answers to the survival of absolutely everything. The gravity explains their musculature. It is not an illusion, but a necessity for survival. As I watch, I notice their stance. It is slightly awkward, reminiscent of how the VAR struggled to adapt to low-gravity environments. The neural mechanisms that govern balance and movement are clearly compensating for the unfamiliar conditions. It is a subtle detail, but it speaks volumes about their adaptability. For the first time in a long while, I find myself genuinely intrigued. Perhaps Jakesai was right, perhaps these humans are worth paying attention to, but I temper my curiosity with caution. It is too early to draw conclusions, and I have learned to be wary of first impressions. The presence of a large planet does not necessarily mean it is harsh or even indicative of its inhabitants' nature. The new species that stood before us during the ceremony did not appear to be burdened with traits of aggression or combat adaptations. In fact, their unassuming appearance suggested they might be a peaceful race, much like many others we had encountered before. And so, yet, despite this lack of clear evidence for any martial prowess, a part of me couldn't help but feel a spark of hope. A hope for something intriguing, something worthy of my attention. The ceremony, as grand and solemn as it was, needed something more to captivate me. When the delegate of this new species began to speak again, a hush fell over the council. It became clear that I was not the only one who noticed the peculiar similarities between their world and ours, specifically to our beloved Viterra, known to them as Mother Earth or simply Earth. Their choice of name was, admittedly, unremarkable, Earth, translating to dirt. It was a term born of simplicity, a lack of creativity perhaps, but one that spoke to their ancestors' pragmatic roots. Yet, what captivated me was not their naming conventions, but the composition of their world. Earth's most striking feature, as the delegate explained, was its abundance of water. Nearly 70% of its surface was covered in it, though, as they confessed, 97% of this water was so heavily mineralized that it was poisonous to them. The poisoning was further exacerbated during their Industrial Revolution, which unleashed a torrent of pollution and industrial waste into their already scarce freshwater resources. It was only through their alliance with the Juth Combine that they began to rectify this catastrophic imbalance. Their oceans were toxic to them, much like our own oceans on Terra, and they relied on a mere 3% of drinkable water to sustain their civilization. To survive and thrive under such limitations spoke volumes of their resilience. As the delegate elaborated on humanity's evolutionary journey, their species emerged and flourished in inland regions, far from the perilous oceans, taking root on the largest continental landmasses. Despite originating in one of the hottest and harshest regions of their planet, humanity displayed an unparalleled ability to adapt. Over time, they spread across Earth, enduring its most unforgiving environments, from scorching deserts that seared by day and froze by night, to lush jungles teeming with venomous creatures, to icy tundras where survival was a daily battle against the elements. Humanity's early existence was marked by a tenacity and resourcefulness that allowed them to not only endure but thrive. The council chamber was awash with awe as the hollow projector displayed Earth's varied landscapes: rolling green hills, vast open grasslands, dense forests, and isolated islands. Each scene bore a striking resemblance to Terra, albeit with different hues. The reds, purples, and blacks of our homeworld were replaced by Earth's greens, browns, and blues. It was a mesmerizing comparison that left no doubt about the parallel challenges and triumphs both worlds had seen. The collective gasp from the council underscored the gravity of this revelation. As the presentation unfolded, the human similarities to our own species became even more evident. Delegate Smith's recounting of their history mirrored the speech given by my ancestor, Emperor Var-Noan, 5 generations ago when he introduced our species to the Galactic Council. The same emphasis on surviving a perilous homeworld, the same determination to earn respect through shared struggle. It was uncanny, and I found myself rising from my seat, a silent gesture of respect among my people. Few in the council understood the significance of this act, mistaking it for aggression or defensiveness. Only JXI, who had long studied my ways, could discern that my stance carried nothing but admiration. Delegate Smith's narrative took an unexpected turn as he described the greatest threat Earth had to offer, not its predators, its environments, or its limited resources, but humanity itself. A model of a human body appeared on the projector, bearing an extra set of limbs, a visual metaphor for their ingenuity and adaptability. The delegate revealed grim statistics. 1.5 billion humans had perished in wars before their discovery by the Juth Combine, and this staggering figure excluded countless others who succumbed to murder, accidents, or disease. Humanity's most dangerous predator was humanity itself. The presentation transitioned to humanity's roots as hunter-gatherers. Primitive humans, clad in rudimentary clothing and wielding basic tools, were depicted stalking large animals. At first glance, their hunting techniques seemed inefficient, even clumsy. Their initial assaults rarely succeeded, and their prey often escaped. But then came the revelation. Their true method was endurance hunting. Hunting to kill animals is something new to me. And the revelation was endurance hunting. Unlike the ambush tactics of our ancestors, humans would pursue their prey relentlessly, exhausting the animals over the course of an entire day. By nightfall, when the prey could run no longer, the humans would close in for the kill. This strategy required immense patience and a unique physiological adaptation for stamina. It was a testament to their capacity for long-term planning and perseverance. As Delegate Smith continued, he chronicled humanity's rise, from nomadic tribes to complex civilizations. Agriculture and animal domestication marked the dawn of a new era, giving rise to villages, towns, cities, and eventually nations. Trade flourished as settlements exchanged goods and resources, leading to the development of economies, currencies, and infrastructure. Sports became more mainstream than ever before, culture more innovative, and infrastructure. Humanity learned to mold the environment to suit their needs, extracting the Earth's riches to build tools, vehicles, and weapons. Yet their growth was tempered by conflict. Limited resources, especially drinkable water and arable land, led to frequent wars, stalling progress and forcing humanity to innovate or perish. The holoprojector now displayed a montage of human warfare. From early battles fought with swords and shields to modern conflicts waged with guided munitions and atomic bombs. The evolution of their military technology was both breathtaking and chilling. The parallels to our own history were undeniable. Like the VAR, humanity had waged wars over resources, territory, and ideology. Their pride, vengeance, and nationalism often fueled conflicts, sometimes over trivial matters, sometimes over profound philosophical disputes. Yet, despite their capacity for destruction, they had also demonstrated an extraordinary ability to adapt and grow. As I watched the presentation, a thought struck me. Humanity's history was not just a story of conflict and survival. It was a testament to their indomitable spirit. They had faced challenges that would have broken lesser species, and they had emerged stronger each time. I could not help but feel a deep respect for these beings. Their resilience, their ingenuity, their willingness to endure and overcome. These were qualities that resonated deeply with me. While some in the council might view them as a threat, I saw an opportunity. An alliance with humanity could bring immense benefits to both our peoples. For now, I would listen closely, for their story was far from over. The presentation was over, yet its weight lingered in the chamber, like an echo of something profound. The human delegate had just concluded, but the silent contemplation of the gathered species was far more telling than any applause could have been. Among those present, the VAR delegate, an imposing figure named Axion, sat with an inscrutable expression, his scaled features betraying little of his inner thoughts. For all the dissonance that might have existed between the humans and the VAR, something in the presentation resonated deeply within him. As the murmurs of disbelief and hushed conversation began to spread, Axion couldn't suppress a booming laugh that echoed throughout the chamber. It was loud, genuine, and disarming in its audacity. The other delegates turned to him, some with expressions of surprise, others with outright horror. Axion basked in their stares as if daring them to challenge his reaction. The human representative, a man named John Smith, glanced toward Axion with a mixture of curiosity and unease. Axion's laughter had not been one of mockery. It was something deeper, more profound. The VAR, for all their militaristic tendencies, valued honesty and respect, and in Smith's brutal recounting of humanity's violent and troubled history, Axion had found a mirror of his own people's struggles. While the other species recoiled in horror at the concept of war over ideals, resources, and even abstract notions like honor, Axion saw only truth. Widespread exiles, variant minds, and abstract notions like honor. Axion saw only truth. He rose from his seat, the movement deliberate and slow, a gesture of respect among the VAR. The act caused an immediate hush to fall over the chamber as all eyes fixed on him. Smith, for his part, remained standing at the podium, clearly unsure of what to expect. The VAR's reputation for aggression was well known, and Smith's instructions had been clear: avoid any unnecessary confrontation. Yet, here was Axion, standing tall, his gaze locked onto Smith, a glimmer of something akin to admiration in his slitted eyes. The rest of the ceremony passed in a blur. Smith dutifully outlined humanity's cultural achievements, from art to music, literature to games. The delegates' reactions were mixed. Some were intrigued by the creativity of human fiction. Others were unnerved by how many of their games bore striking similarities to war simulations. Still, the presentation's tone had shifted. leaving the Galactic Council chamber in a contemplative mood rather than a hostile one. When it was finally over, Smith let out a sigh of relief as he stepped off the podium. He wasn't sure how much of the Council's approval he had managed to earn, but at least he hadn't started an interstellar incident. That, he considered, was a win. In the grand dining area afterwards, Smith busied himself with sampling some of the exotic finger foods offered by the other species. Most of them tasted nothing like their appearance suggested, which was both a blessing and a curse. As he sipped on an unfamiliar beverage that had the aroma of something faintly metallic, he noticed the room's atmosphere suddenly shift. The gentle hum of conversation died out, replaced by an unnerving silence. He glanced up and saw why. The VAR delegate, Axion, was making his way across the room, his massive frame towering over the other delegates. The red scales that covered his body glinted under the artificial lighting, and his gait, while deliberate, was somewhat hindered by the low gravity aboard the station. Axion's piercing eyes were locked onto Smith as he closed the distance between them. Smith felt a bead of sweat form at his temple. The instructions from his superiors flashed through his mind. Avoid inciting the VAR at all costs. Their sense of honor is unique, and their language is riddled with nuances that can turn a compliment into an insult. Smith struggled to recall the proper VAR greeting protocol, but before he could, Axion spoke first. Hello, Delegate Smith. I am VAR Axion, fourth son of Emperor VAR Noan of the VAR Empire. I would like to discuss terms for a human-VAR cultural exchange. Do you accept? Smith blinked, caught off guard by the straightforwardness of the request. Axion extended a massive clawed hand toward him. For a moment, Smith hesitated. The course on VAR protocol had made it abundantly clear that physical gestures, especially those resembling human handshakes, could be interpreted as aggressive or even a challenge. Yet Axion's tone was calm, and his words, a request for cultural exchange, didn't seem hostile. A request for cultural exchange didn't seem hostile. Smith decided to take the risk. Sure, I'll forward this to my superiors and get someone more specialized to iron out the details. I'm just a retired soldier they sent to avoid risking anyone more valuable. He reached out and took Axion's hand. The VAR's grip was firm, almost crushing, and Smith was about to let go when Axion tightened his hold and pulled him closer. Smith found himself staring into one of Axion's reptilian eyes, the vertical slit of the pupil narrowing as if studying him. Smith held his ground, refusing to be intimidated. He locked eyes with Axion, meeting his gaze with what he hoped was a confident expression. After what felt like an eternity, Axion released him, letting out a low rumble that sounded like boulders grinding together. Retired soldier, huh? I like it, Axion rumbled. I'm a warrior myself. All VAR are to some degree. Service in our clan's armed forces is mandatory, though many only serve the required term. I stayed longer, but I have no interest in the power struggles of my brothers. I prefer to serve my empire in other ways. The throne doesn't interest me. It looks uncomfortable anyway. Smith couldn't help but chuckle, though he quickly turned it into a cough when Axion gave him a curious look. Right. Cold-blooded, I guess? You'd rather a warm rock than a cold throne. Axion nodded, the rumbling noise in his chest growing louder. Precisely. Come, Delegate Smith. Let us retire to a more private chamber. The others will not appreciate our discussion of less intellectual topics. Smith followed Axion, feeling both apprehensive and oddly relieved. The conversation that followed was nothing like he expected. Instead of delicate political negotiations, it was a surprisingly candid exchange of ideas and experiences. Axion, for all his imposing appearance, was disarmingly honest. He spoke of his disdain for the petty rivalries among his kin and his respect for humanity's resourcefulness. He even admitted a fondness for seawater, something Smith found both bizarre and amusing. By the end of the night, the two of them had shared drinks. Axion's preferred whiskey had a kick that left Smith's eyes watering, and swapped stories of military life. Smith couldn't recall most of the details, but whatever happened seemed to have left a positive impression on Axion. When Smith returned to Earth, he was hailed as a diplomatic success, his impromptu handling of the VAR securing both a cultural exchange and the foundation for an alliance. Despite the accolades, Smith couldn't shake a sense of irony. He had gone to the Galactic Council, hoping to avoid causing trouble. Yet here he was, now the go-to delegate for all human-VAR interactions. He sighed, half amused and half exasperated. Sometimes, he thought, it might be nice to be an underachiever. Sometimes, he thought, it might be nice to be the underachiever. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more.